Hello and welcome to the Inspiring Life School podcast. This is your host, Vidakovic, and on this podcast, I'll be sharing with you the most valuable strategies to live your one wildly beautiful and most precious life. Because this is it, my friend. In case you haven't guessed, when it comes to life, there's no rewind or pause button that exists. They say that the way that you spend your days is the way that you spend your life. So my one and only goal here is to help you stop wasting your time, stop holding yourself back in life, stop experiencing non-stop negative mind chatter, stop just dreaming without doing, and start living life fearlessly instead, with more purpose, focus, and intention. I sincerely want you to live life in a way that when you come to the end of it, you know deep down in your heart that you 100% gave it your all, flaws and all. This podcast is not about doing life perfectly. Instead, it is about experiencing and living life with more clarity and courage and truly appreciating this precious adventure that we are so blessed to be on. So if you're with me here today, it's time to stop spinning in circles, get off the hamster wheel for good, put your hands back on the steering wheel of your life, and finally start living life in a way that you won't later regret. With that being said, let's dive on in. Hello and welcome to the Inspiring Life School podcast. I am your host, Vidakovic, and in today's episode, we're going to be chatting about how to protect yourself against the crap. And when I say crap, I mean anything that has the potential to hurt or harm you or negatively impact the positive energy that you're bringing to each day. So I want to start by sharing with you a little story. And this story is as simple as it gets. So it involves me and my commitment to taking 2 4K walks a day, rain, hail, or shine. And when I say rain, hail, or shine, I pretty much mean literally. So there have been times when it has been pouring outside and I haven't even stopped for a second to think that I'm not going to go and take this walk. Okay, I don't even consider that I'm going to stay home. I know that I have to go on this walk, that I want to do this walk because it feels so amazing just to clear my mind and give my body the exercise that it needs. And here's what I used to do before, okay, until I realized how ridiculous it was just sounding. So I would go out on this walk when it was raining. I'd put on this flimsy little raincoat and I'd go out for my 40-minute walk and get totally drenched throughout this little journey of mine. I would, no joke, I'd come back looking like a drowned rat. And of course, I was really proud of myself for this determination to take action despite the elements, but I wasn't doing much to protect myself from the elements at all. I had this little raincoat on, but it did next to nothing to buffer me against the harsh weather. And I would come home, with soaked through shoes, or I could literally feel the water swimming inside them. And my clothes would get wet underneath the raincoat because my raincoat wasn't suited to, really heavy rain, just mild rain, not the sort of rain that you could feel in the core of your bones. And it just makes you feel so freezy and heavy with wetness. I was dragging myself that last kilometer. And then one day, a few months ago, it crossed my mind that I should probably be better prepared for these wet walks. So I took with me an umbrella. So I went out one wet morning with my 2 dogs, and my gosh, it felt like my whole life had changed in that moment. I cannot believe that it had never crossed my mind to take an umbrella with me on a wet and rainy walk before. To be honest, I think I've gone through close to 48 years without ever even owning an umbrella. My kids had one to put into the school bags for rainy days, and my husband, of course, was smart enough to have one for when he played golf or when he went to watch or coach sports on wet days or maybe take the dogs out. But me, no, I was certain that an umbrella was something that I could survive without because, my mantra has always been a little rain has never killed anyone, which I have to say here. I can't be sure whether that statement's true or not. But needless to say, I was going out for walks beforehand without an umbrella. And the moment I picked an umbrella and took it with me, it was a total game changer for me. I didn't come home drenched. I stayed dry underneath. And the whole experience of walking in the rain became something actually pleasurable rather than half torturous. And it's crazy to think that I could have always protected myself against the element for years just by taking an umbrella along with me. It was such a simple yet smart decision that I was making that day, and it changed my life. So why am I talking to you today about this obvious discovery that you're probably telling me oh my gosh, what were you thinking? I've known this for years. Of course, I would never go without an umbrella anywhere. And yet that is what I did, because this is just one of the ways that we can actually protect ourselves from the things that negatively impact us in our life. Okay. An umbrella protects you against the rain. And of course, when I speak about rain, it was negatively going to impact me to come home from my walks feeling really crabby and wet and completely freezing in the past because I did nothing to protect myself from those elements. Now, I want to take this story and use the umbrella as a metaphor for how we can actually use other things in our life to protect us from the things that potentially can negatively impact us. So let's just say you were visiting a family or visiting your own family who sometimes come to the event with negative energy. Now, of course, you could choose to stay home, not go if that's what you really want to do. But you have to be honest with yourself here. Would you go if you knew that they wouldn't bother you? Do you dream about going anywhere and having your positive energy be so powerful that it negates the impact of a few negative comments? Do you want to work out a way to show up and be the high person in life who lives life with love and compassion and isn't so easily impacted and offended by others? So I know that when it comes to my daily walks, my commitment to myself and my health is so strong that I plan to go for these walks even when it's raining. Unless, of course, it's thunderstorm or there's torrential rain, which just happens so rare. Like, if we're totally honest, like that happens once a year at most. So not going for a walk isn't an option. Just like for you, not living your life is probably not an option for you either. You want to live your life. And of course, like, you want to protect yourself from everything, but you don't want to do it by hiding or avoiding people and events, okay? That is not what I'm recommending here. I'm not recommending you run and hide underneath your bed as a smart strategy for dealing with all the conflict and obstacles and problems that pop up in your life. What I'm recommending instead is that you go and find those umbrellas in life that make those unpleasant events more bearable or enjoyable. So what is an umbrella, like a metaphorical umbrella that you can take with you? An example, let's just say if I was visiting a family who might sometimes be negative or often negative, you could just decide in advance to surrender to the moment rather than expecting everyone to change or expecting people to be who they're not born to be, and just to do your best to show them love and compassion, understanding, or while you are in their presence, as opposed to being really defensive and judgmental. Okay, that could be the armor that you're using to protect yourself. It's like an umbrella, an armor of love where you love and care and accept yourself first, and then decide, okay, I get to show up in these moments however I choose to. I get to show up how I want to. I can choose to love. I can choose to take deep breaths. I can choose to pause. I can choose to walk away. I can choose to think before I respond. I can choose to speak my truth. I can choose to do whatever I feel called to do from a place of love rather than defensiveness and fear. And this really applies to every single situation in your life. Ask yourself, how can you protect yourself against the crappy stuff that doesn't involve you running away and hiding? Because even though that might sound like a great short-term game plan, that strategy is going to leave you feeling really weak and disempowered. And I want you to feel really strong in life. So I personally found the few following strategies to work really well for me. So I'm going to share with you just a few of my so-called metaphorical umbrellas. So whenever I'm feeling tired and overwhelmed, my umbrella is to rest and journal. When I'm around people with negative energy, I limit our conversations to a shorter time frame. Or I might just even remind myself, like, it's not my monkey, it's not my circus. I'm not going to get entrenched in someone else's drama. That's their drama. Okay, they get to hold on to that. Or when I'm feeling really lost and confused about what I should do next, my umbrella is just to look within and ask myself, like, what do I feel called to do next? What's my heart and soul intuition guiding me to do? And I also always remind myself of my why, like, why did I even set that goal? What's my long-term vision and dream? And I do my best to tap into and reconnect with those feelings of hope and excitement that come from, or that will come from, achieving those goals. Now, I know that this sounds really, really simplistic, but guess what? Umbrellas are probably like the simplest invention designed to protect us from rain, and I avoided using one for over 40 years. So seriously, like, that just sounds crazy to me. So I want you to think about, I want you to consider that there could actually be solutions to all the problems that you're facing right now. What if your answer was as simple as a metaphorical umbrella? And if you're completely honest with yourself, you know that that is usually probably the answer. Like, if someone's shooting bullets at you, you can, of course, run away. You can also make sure that you're wearing a bulletproof vest. Okay, you protect yourself. It is your job to protect yourself. We can sit there and expect that no harm will ever come our way, but the world's going to do what the world's going to do, and people are going to be whatever they were born to be. Sometimes we're going to not love it, and that's okay. Like, it's our job to protect ourselves. And I want you to consider that the way that we protect ourselves is usually pretty simple. So in philosophy, this is something that's actually called Occam's razor. So Occam's razor simply states that the simplest solution is almost always the best. The simplest solution is almost always the best. So this is a theory that was named after a 14th century philosopher named William of Ockham. And he argued that when it comes to problem solving, simplicity is better than complexity. And it states that entities must not be multiplied beyond necessity. So I just want you to consider that the answer can be simple. So don't complicate your life or your problems beyond necessity. Just assume that there is a simple way to protect yourself against the crap, and assume that you know what this answer is. Like, deep down, you do know what it is. Like, all you need to do next is take action on this simple answer, which of course is sometimes usually easier said than done. But even still, it gets to be simple. Okay, it gets to be simple. Remember me, all those years that I went for those walks getting drenched, and that changed the moment I pulled out my umbrella. It wasn't my umbrella because I didn't own an umbrella, my husband's umbrella. Life-changing moment. And for you, I want you to search out those umbrellas in your life, the simple solutions to those sometimes seemingly complex problems, okay? But just consider the solution can be really, really simple. And that is it for today's episode, my friend. I have loved sharing this info with you. Take care, and I cannot wait to catch you on the next episode. Until then, much love from me. Thank you so much for listening to the Inspiring Life School podcast. I really appreciate you allowing me to be a part of your life. If you'd love to stay in touch, please know that you can always find me on Instagram at Vidakovic, or you can visit my website, inspiringmumlife.com, where you can sign up and receive so many amazing freebies that I've created just for you to help you implement all my teachings into practice. There you'll also find all my online courses, resources and programs that I've created to help you up-level your life in seriously the simplest way possible, so that you can ultimately create for yourself a life that feels simpler, lighter, and allows you to show up in a way that you love as your best and most authentic version of yourself. Now remember, this podcast is all about not just dreaming but also doing, because to create true sustainable change in your life, you need to be willing to do things differently. And that's what I'm here to support you to do every single step along the way, so that you too can begin to live your one wild and precious life with less stress, less overwhelm, less drama, and instead with zero regrets. Finally, if this podcast resonates with you at all and you appreciate the content, I would absolutely love for you to show your support by leaving me a review on Apple Podcasts. I'm on a mission to help more people wake up to the preciousness of life and to help them live their days with more intention and purpose, and your review will help make this goal of mine possible. Well, once again, thank you so much. I have loved spending this time with you, and I look forward to connecting with you again. I am Vidakovic, and you have been listening to the Inspiring Life School podcast.